I'd like to congratulate all of the winners of the awards here tonight. And again, the thousands of winners, because the program is an enormous program, honoring so many different student athletes and coaches throughout the country. I also would be remiss in not thanking John and Tim for sustaining and growing all of the programs and all of the opportunities for college tennis student athletes. Stan, can't thank you enough. Morgie, you too. And here's Stan.
You know, first of all, I'd just like to congratulate Tim and John for their tireless work over the last 10 years. And congratulations on doing a terrific effort to lead the ITA. And over the course of the last 3 decades, it's been my honor and privilege to be able to present this Achievement Award. And in 2015, Margie and I are thrilled to endow this award. And we did this in David's name because we've known him for over 35 years. We've had extraordinary individuals who've won this award. A U.S. senator, a general, and some of the top minds in the fields of medicine, law, education, and business, all of whom have played varsity college tennis, achieved excellence in their careers, and made a significant contribution to our society. Our 2024 laureate is Christopher Clarey. He joins the illustrious cast of people you saw, hopefully in the booklet. He played college tennis at Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, where he was the top varsity player. Since his undergraduate years at Williams, Chris has become one of the most highly regarded sports journalists. He spent over 30 years writing for the New York Times and covered more than 100 Grand Slam tournaments, 15 Olympic Games, and reporting across over 70 countries. Without any further ado, it gives me great pleasure to invite Christopher Clarey to the podium to be presented the 2024 ITA David A. Benjamin Achievement Award.
So hello, everybody. I wanted just to start. It's been a wonderful afternoon. People are calling it evening. It's still afternoon. I wanted just to single out my 10-year-old niece, who's right here. Her name's Felicity, and she is a patient young girl. She's been sitting through a lot of this today with great expectation and great concentration. So bravo to you, Felicity. And I also want to say what an honor. You know, I'm very touched. Usually the journalists ask the questions. They don't give the speeches. So it's nice to be in that role. It's a little bit different today. But I was just watching all these young athletes come forward and get their awards today, and very touched by that. And I just hope that as you go forward in your careers, whatever you do, that you will that you'll work with people like me. You'll work with the media. A lot of times we're seen as the adversaries. A lot of times in the sports world, and I think there's a much better way to do things. I didn't grow up in that kind of community. It was more of a symbiotic relationship, and I think it's a much healthier and productive way to go, and you can tell your stories that way, and the world can be the wiser for it. But I applaud all that you guys have done, and especially Elliot qualifying for the U.S. Open. That's extraordinary. You know, I feel like tennis is such a community, whether you're in the media, whether you're on the administrative side, whether you're a player, it really is a family. It's a local sport. It's a global sport. It's a lot quieter than pickleball. Never forget that. And I think in many ways it's a great connector of people and of cultures. And I think most of us would agree that it is it's a lifelong love and hate affair. In many ways, it can drive us crazy, but at the same time, give us so much fulfillment and even some of that very precious element called joy. I wanted to start just by saying that anybody who saw me double fault on match point against Amherst College would be shocked to know that I'm getting any kind of award associated with college tennis. I was a little shocked myself when David Benjamin called me during the French Open this year in Paris and informed me in fluent French, by the way. I'm not sure why we were speaking French, but my French needs more work than David's. But we did that, and he told me that I was going to be given this honor. And it really is indeed quite an honor. And I think it's a wonderful message to send about the lasting value of college tennis, because it shows that it doesn't really matter how much you won or lost back in the day, a long time ago. What matters is what messages you take away from that, what you glean from the experience, and what you carry forward with you in your life. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful theme for an award. So what did I carry forward? A lot of humility, first of all. A lot of my teammates are back there on table number 11. And yeah. And I definitely had players on my team and my opponents who were a lot more skilled than I was, and who were a lot more emotionally stable on the court than I was too. That's for sure. But I improved every year from my watching these players who were better than I was. And I learned a lot from our clever coach, a guy named Sean Sloan. Some of you may know Sean. Sean, if we had used the vocabulary of today, would have been called chill. Sean was a mellow guy. He was way ahead of his time. He had us visualizing, doing stuff like lying on the court with our eyes closed, thinking about the match to come, which we all liked a lot. It was a lot less work than having to go out and run drills. But Sean basically taught us how to visualize and really helped us with the mental game when the mental game was not such a big a deal in tennis as it is now. And I have a lot of appreciation and respect for him. I know all of us do. So a quick round of applause for Sean. But what I really learned from college tennis was perseverance and resilience. Because I feel like, tennis can give you a lot of blows to your ego and other parts of your body. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what separates it. Give you a lot of blows to your ego, and I think life does the same. Life will do the same. There's no way around that. That's a given. But what is not a given is how you will respond to that. And that's up to you. How you work on your weaknesses, how you savor your strengths, how you try to be a gracious loser while plotting immediately to be the gracious winner the next time. I was not very good at any of this when I was in college, and not even in my own team. And I can remember playing an inter-squad match, a challenge match against Tim Peterson, and losing that match, and shaking Tim's hand and grimly walking across the glorious Williams College campus to my dorm room, opening the door, closing it behind me, and then in cold blood, smashing to smithereens a plastic lamp on a side table inside my dorm room. That felt good, really good. It shouldn't have felt that good. And in a lot of ways, I had a lot of work to do, and I think that's the way it is. Tennis can drive you crazy. Tim is here today, by the way. Tim, applaud for Tim. With his wife, Sally, and I want to assure you I haven't broken any furniture recently. At least not on anger, anyway. But in my case, playing college tennis was particularly helpful because I went on to write about sports, as Stan mentioned, for the entirety of my career. I've always been a sports writer, almost 40 years. And it's been a great ticket to see the world. I had a chance to write about soccer in South Africa, badminton, Indonesia, America's Cup sailing in New Zealand, even bullfighting in Seville. And even though the Spanish don't consider bullfighting a sport, they call it an art, but I still wrote about it, and it was great. So it's been quite a journey, and a lot of jet lag, and really something I've been so fortunate to be able to do. And I feel like, in a lot of ways, that's what's kept me in it, is being able to go and travel around the world and do all of that. But I think, in so many ways, tennis is a sport that's going to give you a sense, as you go about it, of humility, really. And me, when I was playing, what did I bring to the equation? When I was covering sports, was I had a chance to have played as a college athlete, not at a very high level. But I think what really held my interest over the years was tennis, first of all. It felt really more like a home for me, a spiritual place where I could really connect. And the reason for that was empathy, because I had no chance of playing like the players I was covering, could not in any way chip and charge like Navratilova, could not rip a forehand like Steffi Graf or Agassi or Nadal, couldn't serve like Sampras or Serena, couldn't glide and create like Federer, and I definitely couldn't slide into a split on a hard court and hit a backhand down the line like Djokovic. But I did know from firsthand experience how hard some of these shots were that these guys could make look so easy and so straightforward. And I also, as my Amherst College experience and my double fault makes clear, I did know in my bones what it was like to feel the pressure, to feel that. And I honestly think that having had that experience and having had that empathy made me a much better sports writer, and probably more importantly, a much fairer sports writer over the years. I didn't have any problem relating to what athletes who lost were going through, and I think it's very important. We often celebrate the winners so much, but a lot of times in our business, the best stories and the most telling moments are when you don't succeed and how you manage that. We all just watch the Olympics. Some of the best stories and most moving things were when people didn't quite make it. So I think my experience has really helped me understand that. And that was great. And I think the other thing I'd say is deadline. First of all, make it. That's my first suggestion to all of you. We're still gonna make it, but I think in a lot of ways, being a college tennis player and writing a story on deadline have more in common than you might imagine. Experience is key, but it's not everything. Talent is very important too, but you can't coast on it. You've got to be able to focus on what you're doing, but not too much, and find a way to drill all the fundamentals and all the finer points for years. And then probably comes the trickiest part. I don't know if you'd agree, Stan, but the trickiest part is letting go and letting it flow. You got to find a way to embrace the moment, in some ways let go of things that you've learned, the mechanics above all the consequences, and find a way to express what you have inside of you, but not overthink it. And I think it's such an easy thing to say, but yet such a hard thing to do. And honestly, when you're writing a deadline story or you're on the baseline, it's sort of the same challenge. And I think when you get those elements right, that's where the magic can happen. Whether you're on a college tennis court or whether you're in the Wimbledon press room with 15 minutes to write a story about that masterpiece of a match that Nadal and Federer just played in the twilight on center court. So I would just also say that perfection is certainly possible in lots of realms of human endeavor, but not in tennis, land of the unforced error. And definitely not in journalism, land of the corrections page. It will humble you in that way. But I think what drew me to both journalism and to tennis was that you cannot master either one. You never can. They're not masterable. And they really hold you for that reason in a lot of ways. And I feel like the good thing about it is you can always improve. You can always be a better writer and reporter. You can always be a better player. You can always make another phone call. You can always reach into the basket, grab a ball, and hit another serve in practice. But you can't master any of that stuff. And I think that's what's been one of the most wonderful things for me. There is a wonderful opportunity to do better very quickly in both tennis and in journalism. You have another match to play, another story to write, and there is a lovely rhythm and a lovely optimism in that. Actually, I've written about a couple of the people who've won this award in the past, crazily enough. One of them was here earlier tonight, Dr. Brian Hainline. Dr. George Fareed as well was somebody I knew and interviewed. He was the Davis Cup captain, the Davis Cup doctor for the 1990s teams. And I spent a couple hours with Brian in traffic He was trapped in a car with me on the way to the U.S. Open a couple years ago, and I was really impressed by his calm demeanor and his sort of deep, committed resolve to emphasizing parts of tennis that were great for your life, but also great for your lifespan. And I think he's done some great work in that space. And George Fareed was quite a character, and I knew him in the 90s. We went to Moscow together, 1995 Davis Cup final, back when Davis Cup was a big deal. Jim Courier, Todd Martin, Tom Gullickson was the captain. They were playing the Russians, very symbolic then, as it probably would be again now if it ever happened. But Sampras cramped after the first match, had to be carried off the court. George was one of the ones carrying him. George revived him in the locker room, got him back out there, and Pete played some of the best matches he's ever played in his life on clay or any surface and was able to win the cup. So it's an honor to be in the company of George and of Brian as the winners of this award. And it's an honor to be with all of you today, with my friends and my teammates and my family, my sister, my niece, and above all, my wife, Virginie, who's here. And she's been very patient today. Yeah, Virginie has had to show a lot of patience and made a lot of sacrifices so her husband can bounce around the world for 40 years and write about sports. So she gave me the double gift of kind of allowing me to pursue my passion professionally for so long, and also to be able to come back and have a family and have a home that felt really like a home, wherever we were, whether it was in Paris or whether it was in Seville, in Spain, or whether the North Shore of Boston. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Virginie. And lastly, and we will liberate you, I want to thank David and John and Tim, Stan, and Margie for a wonderful couple of days and all that the ITA does. I really believe in the mission, and I hope it has many years to run in the modern landscape. So a toast to college tennis and a toast to all of you. Thank you.